and truly, what a treat we have had in some of the matches tonight. I'm going to go through all of the matches, some of them in greater detail than others, and I am going to be saving the Atletico Madrid Spurs game for last. I have 2 pages of notes on that one, so there is going to be a lot to talk about there. Obviously, a very, very late penalty in the Newcastle Barcelona game. Bayern Munich, oh my goodness me. But first, we have to go all the way back to 5:45 to the Galatasaray Liverpool game. And I have to say, despite the fact that I watched that game in its entirety, so much has happened since then. I feel like that match was yesterday. I was looking at my notes, I was preparing myself to press go live, and I'm thinking, okay, here are all the talking points, the things that I need to make sure I don't miss. And then I realised I have to talk about the Galatasaray Liverpool game. I'm like, that's already happened. I think I've told you guys this before. I have the worst memory ever in life. I remember nothing. I think my memory is the size of a teaspoon. To get new information in, I have to dump information. So, when I started watching the matches this evening at 8 o'clock, everything I knew about the Galatasaray Liverpool game completely disappeared. So, I am going to talk about it, but I am also going to be referencing my notes. So, when you get to see my nice forehead looking down, that's all it is, my big shiny forehead. I tell you what, I'd be a good header of the ball. There's enough head up there. But, first and foremost, most importantly, welcome you guys to our late night live stream on Spill the Tea Lou. Please do smash a like on your way in. It is lovely to see everybody here. We have very lovely Bored Dave Boy, of course, with a controversial comment, and as always, the very first comment. Bored Dave Boy is consistently the first comment on every single stream that I put up. So can we just give Dave Boy a round of applause? Honestly, I don't know how he's not number one every single time I do a stream. Do you know the little purple heart crown thing? Because genuinely the man is so consistent. So excellent to Dave Boy. But what he says, I'm at the biggest game of the night, half-time, Millwall 1, Derby 0. I mean, you know, whatever you're into. But Boffman says good evening to the chat. iNotes is in the house. He is saying it was a terrible game at Galatasaray. Marv is in the house with his champers. Big up to everybody, saying hi and heading home. Smash that like button. Correct and right, Marv. Smash the like, subscribe, tell your friends. People, I am doing my best. I would love to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with 500 subscribers. We are so close. We're way over 400. We're so close to being there. Please tell your friends, your burners, your grannies, and anybody else, get involved. They don't have to listen to me. If they just subscribe and then listen on mute, that's fine. I don't mind. A lot of people would love to press the mute button on me in real life, so it's okay. I won't be offended. But David Speaks Football is straight in with the hard questions, and he says, do we feel sorry for Newcastle? Yes, I personally do, because I think they were the better team all match. And look, it's not always the way in football. Football throws up some surprises. This is the way it goes sometimes. However, I feel that they were consistently the better team. I think the goal was well deserved. I think it had been coming for quite some time. To concede in that manner so late, I think I personally have to feel a little bit sorry for them. I think they deserve to get the lead and to go into the next match ahead. But look, 1-1, it's basically like starting at 0-0. If they can do it once, they can do it again. iNotes is in the house. Luinia, he's saying. Who else have we got? Tell you what, everybody loves a late night stream. Everybody's in the house tonight. What has Marv has put Lou equals our own Irish version of Dory from Finding Nemo, and I feel seen because that is incredibly accurate. What else are we saying? Mama Flossie, lovely Mama Flossie is in the house. Everybody's saying hi. Guests will not be in the chat tonight. This is way past her bedtime. But everybody else is here. And David Speaks Football says, well, they gave us last minute pain, so I'm glad they got it back, but they did deserve more. David, that is how you roll. And I notice I'm not the only one with a new profile picture. Some of you may have noticed a new banner. If you want to see the new banner for the channel in all its glory, you won't see the full thing even on a computer. If you put it on a TV, there's like a big banner and it says T Gossip Football, and I'm like, life, love my life. But just so I see David's in there with a new profile picture. But let's start at the start, people, because I'm getting excited, I'm getting ahead of myself, and then I'm going to forget things, because honestly, information retention not for me. Smash a like, subscribe, get involved, say hi to everybody, and let's talk about the start, the very, very, very start of the Galatasaray Liverpool match. Wirtz, who had an absolute nightmare of a game today for Liverpool, but it started how it went on. He could have had a goal in the opening minutes of the match, and he completely misses it. Absolutely dreadful miss. I think I could have scored it. I was a defender when I played football. I can't score. But I think I could have scored that one. Oh my God, what a terrible miss. And that set the tone for his whole game. He did not have a good game. Liverpool overall did not have a good game, but definitely 100%, Wirtz did not. What else are we seeing? Marv loves the new banner. Thank you very much. But it was Liverpool who went 1-0 down. After missing that fantastic opportunity at the start, they went 1-0 down from a Galatasaray corner. Now, we did a video before the new year talking about kind of from the start of the season till Christmas, Liverpool had the worst set piece record in terms of conceding the most set pieces and scoring the least. They had a woeful set piece record. Since the new year, that record had dramatically improved to the point where I was considering doing an updated video, because it was literally night and day. It was like first half, second half, completely different. However, today they went back to their old tricks and they conceded from a corner 1-0 down to Galatasaray at Galatasaray. Now, I saw a lot of Liverpool fans online, on YouTube, on X, all over the place, absolutely losing their minds. Now, not all of them. I know a very sensible Liverpool fan, Bwinny, that does be in our chat. He's a Liverpool fan, very, very sensible, okay? He's not losing his mind. However, I have seen a lot of Liverpool fans that are losing their mind. Now, I think they've done this to themselves. So, before the match, I saw, and again, it's not all, but a large proportion of Liverpool fans saying, we are going to win this, clearly we should win this, and we're the better team, more or less counting the win before it even happened, before the match had even kicked off, which I thought was a little bit mental, because I think Galatasaray is a really hard team. Their atmosphere, and I'm going to get to that, but generally their atmosphere is unbelievable. It's a very hostile environment to go into. And all teams sort of know that going in. Galatasaray is not a fun place to go. It's hostile is the only word I can think of. I do a little flutter. Now, I don't bet an awful lot, but I do a little flutter. I normally do a little bit of an accumulator. Like, I went over cards because in my head I'm like, right, it's probably going to be chaos. So I think for Liverpool fans to go in thinking, yes, this is a nailed on win, they're always going to then be disappointed if they don't win. But I think that was a silly sort of standard to be setting. When you set a goal, they say to set SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable. The A stands for achievable. SMART goals, right in the middle of it, A stands for achievable. I'm not sure that going in to Galatasaray for an easy walkover win is achievable. Even if you get the win, it's going to be difficult and hard and gritty. So I think what happened was a lot, and not all, a lot of Liverpool fans, they set themselves up for kind of an unobtainable goal. So they were always going to be disappointed, because even if they won, it was going to be gritty, it wasn't going to be beautiful. Even if they drew, it wasn't going to be the win. And to be fair, I don't think it's that dumbfounding that Galatasaray won at home. Like, Liverpool have had a very up and down season. Galatasaray aren't an easy team. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's the worst result in the world. They now go back to Anfield and they only have a 1-goal deficit. I don't think that's that bad. So, look, there was a goal for both teams ruled off. So, from Liverpool's first corner, you could actually see, and I thought it was very interesting, they tried the pushing and shoving that's going on in the Premier League. They tried the sort of Arsenal-Everton sort of corner tactics, and you see the referee go over to the Liverpool players and be like, not here, sunshine, ain't happening. So I did think that was very, very interesting to see during the match. But in the second half then, Osimhen scores. It's ruled offside. It was an unusual one because the way it was done, it just seemed a little bit odd because the linesman was going to put his flag up and then didn't, and then it was called by VAR. It was just a little bit odd, but it was ruled off anyway for offside. Then Liverpool redeemed themselves on a corner, so they go 1-1 from a corner from Szoboszlai, and it's ruled out. Now, it's ruled out after a long check by VAR. And their official reason, and I want to read this so I don't get it wrong. So let me see. They said it went in off Konaté's hand. So they said the goal went in off Konaté's hand. As we know, it doesn't matter then whether it's intentional or not. If the ball goes in off the hand, the goal is ruled out. However, the ball didn't go in off Konaté's hand. Like, if you watch the replay, and I've watched it about 10 times, it hits like 3 other players after it hits Konaté. There's a bunch of them all. It's bouncing around between them. It hits the keeper. It hits about 3 other players and then goes in off somebody's back. It does not go in off Konaté's hand. In which case, it's unintentional, at close range, in a huddle of bodies. His hand is in a natural position. It shouldn't have been ruled off. The match should have ended 1-1. That goal should have counted. 100% should have counted. I think it's a bit mental that it's been ruled off. So, apart from the fact that 1-0 isn't a massive deficit, it shouldn't even be 1-0. It really should have been 1-1. If you get a chance, if you didn't watch that match, watch the replay. When you're watching the highlights, you'll see the replay of that goal. It just absolutely factually did not go into the back of the net off Konaté's hand. So it's a crazy thing. If any of you did watch that match, I know not everybody's a Liverpool fan in the chat. Maybe you were prepping for your match. But let me know if you saw that. What did you think of that goal that was ruled off for Liverpool? Did you think it went in off Konaté's hand? Like, do you totally disagree with me? Like, maybe I need new glasses. But, like, it literally bounces off 3 other people. So let me know if you saw it, what you think. Lovely Luke Watts is in the chat. Evening, and it is very lovely to have you here with us. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think of what I'm saying so far in the chat. I know, everybody wants to talk about Atletico Madrid Spurs, and I am going to spend a large portion of the stream on them. My problem is, as you know, I get distracted. So if I start with Atletico Madrid and Spurs, that's what I'm going to talk about for the next hour. No other match will get spoken about, and then that'll be a disaster, because it's not a very good match reaction if actually I only react to one match. So I have to do them in order. Otherwise, we're a way off track. And let's face it doesn't take much to get me off track, does it, to be fair? But the match should have ended 1-1. It didn't. It ended 1-0. The world won't end. It's not a massive scoreline. However, what I do think should be worrying Liverpool is the performance was terrible. The performance was really bad. And I think, for me, I'm always, obviously the most important thing, certainly in the Premier League, is the win for the points. But I do also think in the likes of this, where it's a 2-legged affair, I think performance is important. And Liverpool's performances just haven't been there all season. So I think there's an undercurrent of the fans are annoyed about the performance, and then the result adds insult to injury, if that makes sense. But overall, I actually thought the match was quite underwhelming. Lovely PFC TV is in the house. It is nice to see you, my dear. And straight in there with Spurs deserve to be relegated. Relegation will cost them 250 million. And we're going to get to them, I promise. I have so many things to say. But overall, I personally found the Galatasaray-Liverpool match quite underwhelming. As I said, Galatasaray is normally a really hostile place to go. It's really like cold, the atmosphere, like you can feel the atmosphere through the TV, and you can't often feel that, but with Galatasaray you normally can. Tonight I just felt it was quite understated, quite like underwhelming, nothing really crazy. I thought it was a bit boring, wasn't it, really? It was a bit of a dead match. I watched it so I can talk to you guys about it. I'll be honest, say if I was just watching that and I wasn't going to do a results stream, I would have switched that off because it got boring. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about, I'm just literally going to mention it because I didn't watch it, because I've only got so many eyes, and even with my extra set of eyes, there's still only so many things I can look at the same time. And obviously I was watching Atletico Madrid and Tottenham and Newcastle and Barcelona, therefore I was not watching Bayern Munich and Atalanta. Bayern Munich, madness, 6-1. 6-1. That is incredible. Talk about sending out a statement. Props to Bayern Munich. They have put their stamp on the matter. Anybody on their side of the draw is now going, bugger. Bugger that. I was kind of thinking maybe they'd fall asleep. Maybe they're not going to be as good this season. 6-1. Bugger rude. So I think it's something that we'll have to keep an eye on as the next sort of ties progress. They're through. I mean, let's not even talk about the second leg. I mean, they're through. That's the end of it. There's no point in even, like, Atalanta are not going to outscore. And that was Atalanta were at home, by the way. Bayern Munich were the away team today. And to be fair, that's it's actually a good point. 1, 2, 3. Jackson has 1. I note Jackson has 1 goal. He has an assist and a goal. He assisted Musiala and he scored 1 himself. But like Stanisic scored 1, Olise scored 2, Gnabry scored 1, Jackson scored 1, and Musiala scored 1. So like other than Olise, the rest were all different goal scorers. So they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different goal scorers, because I can count. Look at me go, all the way up to 5, because I'm clever. But yeah, it's just a madness of a scoreline. And then we had Newcastle Barcelona. I have to say, Newcastle, I thought, were the better team throughout the match. I thought they started off really well. They started off with intent. They started off with speed. They actually could have been 1-0 up within the first few minutes, only for the keeper. And on a night, because we are obviously going to speak about this, you've all seen the thumbnail, but on a night where, you know, we are going to be talking about keepers, where the keeper has been the difference in a match, I do also think the Barcelona keeper was a big difference in the Newcastle-Barcelona match. He kept Barcelona from going behind several times because Newcastle were absolutely on it, completely on it. I thought they were, I wouldn't say miles the better team, but they were categorically, I don't think it was grey. I do think they were definitely the better team. I think them going ahead was absolutely deserved. I think Hall, and you know, we have a group chat there and we were chatting in the group chat, and I just think Hall is such a good player. And obviously my team, Man United, has been linked to basically every single player on the Newcastle team. I don't know if any of it's true. I don't know if any of it will happen. It could be all complete nonsense. However, if I could take my pick of players from the Newcastle team, I would be taking Hall. I just think he's absolutely fantastic, and game on game on game on game, he's getting better and better and better and better. I also thought after a bit of a slow start, once Anthony Elanga got going, again, he was fantastic. And I had been joking with Marv there, and I said, you know, Anthony Elanga's terrible, except for when he plays Man United, because that's when he shows up. But I have to say, today, he played like he was playing Man United. He was very, very, very good, very, you know, attacking minded. He was driving forward. He was very dangerous. I thought he did really, really, really well. Again, I think Tonali was very, very good. I know Marv was a fan of Asula tonight. I just think all of the players turned up. All of the players played really well. To lose to a penalty just outside of the allotted extra time is devastating. It's just devastating. Like, I think Newcastle 100% deserve to win. They 100% deserve to win. But as we know, that is just not always how it works in football. The concern is, obviously, this match was at St James's Park. So next match, Newcastle are going to be away. You would have hoped for Newcastle that they'd be going into their away leg ahead, because they struggle away. And again, you're looking at the atmosphere. They would have wanted to be going away ahead. They also could have had more than one goal. As I said, the Barcelona keeper really made the difference and really kept Barcelona in the match as long as he did. And without him, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to draw level, because they would have already been so far behind. So I think their keeper, they should all be patting him on the back, gift baskets for him. It was Chow that gives away the penalty, and you do have to feel a bit sorry for him. He sort of kicks out, but I think he sort of kicks out he doesn't realise how far he is from the ball. He sort of kicks out sillily, in a silly way. He kicks out to try and get the ball, kicks the player. It is a penalty. It's really sad. It's really sad that it happens that way. And, you have to feel sorry for him, because when you're the player that concedes the penalty that late into the match, obviously it doesn't feel good. Obviously you're going to beat yourself up a little bit. And he's been quite decent this season for Newcastle, so I do feel for him. But I think it's a really promising thing for Newcastle, because to deserve to be ahead of Barcelona and for a draw against Barcelona to be unlucky, that says something really, really big about Newcastle. And obviously we did a video there very, very recently about Eddie Howe, and I just think today's result is absolutely apt for the conversation that we had about Eddie Howe. The timing, thank you, Eddie. The timing was sensational, much appreciated. I actually rang him up. I had a word. I said, look, I had a video on my YouTube where I stuck up for you. You, mister, better get out there and get me a result. So I feel actually this is entirely down to my support of Eddie Howe. Obviously not. But look, I think they equip themselves well, and if they can bring that then back into the Premier League, it will do them well. It'll serve them, because they have so many more difficult matches coming in this difficult run that they have. If they bring this into their next matches, I do think they can pick up points and they can definitely move up the table. So obviously Newcastle fans will be hoping that is what happens. Now, going to read a few of your comments, because I've been ranting and speed talking to get through all of the bits so we can talk about pressing matters like 5-2. So let me see what you guys are saying, and then we will without further ado, I sounded so Irish, without further ado, speak about Atletico Madrid and Spurs. So I've spotted PFC TV joining us. Lucas here spoke about that. Dave and iNotes are discussing strikers. Interesting conversation. Dave boy, you have to have lost your goddamn mind. Please tell me that is trolling. Dave boy has said, I would definitely take Delap over Sesko. Surely not, Dave. Now, we normally agree on a lot of things. Delap has been woeful. He's indisciplined, his attitude stinks, and he's not very good. I mean, I don't think Sesko's hit the ground running. He's starting to get into a bit of a rhythm now. I would like a more experienced striker alongside him. But I would take Sesko over Delap every day of the week. Oh, you've shocked me with that one. Oh, The things that we don't know about people, we think we know them, and then they say things like this. Oh, I tell you what, that drink has addled your brain. Come back to me and tell me you were joking, please. iNotes, with another controversial take, is Barca is overrated. They're no longer a good team. Inter made that clear. I mean, that's fair. That's fair enough. I suppose I don't really follow Barcelona that closely. I just expect if they're doing terribly that you would hear about it, but I guess not. Rashford seems to be doing okay over there, although I didn't see a whole lot of them in this match, one way or the other. But you know, you don't really hear too much, so I just assumed. But I'll take your word for it. I trust you, iNotes. What else? iNotes is saying, respect the future Harry Kane. Delap, Lou. Yeah, you're all right. You can keep him. I'm vetoing Dave Boy. We don't want him. Dave Boy says, definitely Lou. He is England's next number 9. Yeah, I feel like that's sarcasm, Dave Boy. I feel like that's sarcasm. I'm putting it down to sarcasm until you categorically tell me I'm wrong. Because I just can't. I can't. Now, you're fully entitled to your opinion, but I strongly disagree with your opinion. I'm glad you're not in charge of our transfers, put it that way. But, never mind Liam Delap and Sesko. Irrelevant, because none of us played tonight. Neither Chelsea nor Man United was playing tonight. But I'll tell you who was. Tottenham Hotspur. And they had a bit of a difficult start to the match. And this is how their match went. 1-0 to Atletico Madrid. Keeper slip. 2-0 to Atletico Madrid. Van de Ven slip. 3-0 to Atletico Madrid. Keeper nightmare. Keeper substitution. Now we have got to the crux of the matter. Keeper substitution for Tottenham Hotspur in, I believe it was the 17th minute. The 17th minute, 22-year-old Kinski is subbed off on his debut, having let in 3 goals in 15 minutes, 2 of which he was responsible for. Wow, what a nightmare. And there's obviously a lot of discourse online about this, and there's a lot of strong opinions about this. There's a lot of empathy and pity and sympathy for Kinski, and there's quite a lot of anger towards Tudor, which I think has been bubbling under the surface anyway. But a lot of people are obviously saying to sub him off 17 minutes in on his debut is going to smash his confidence. And that's a fair point, because that is going to smash his confidence. It's going to impact him. It's devastating, really devastating. But my argument back to that is, how much more devastating would it have been to leave him on the pitch? Okay? So he slips for the first one. Van de Ven slips for the second one, and the keeper's nowhere near it. The third one, by the third goal, you can see, if you watch that goal, the keeper has already lost his head. He's shriveled up on the inside. He's embarrassed. I think, whether it was intentional or not by Tudor, I think substituting him was exactly the right thing to do. And there's multiple reasons for that. First of all, at this point, they need the tie to remain recoverable. Okay, so at 3-0, it's very, very difficult, but it's possible to recover from 3-0 over 2 legs. Okay, so you're thinking, get your main keeper in and damage limitation. Stop it from getting worse. First and foremost, because his number one responsibility is to Tottenham Hotspur. Okay, so that's fair. Second of all, I think leaving Kinski on the pitch to concede 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 goals, which was entirely possible when it was 3 after 15 minutes. Imagine that damage. Imagine he leaves him on the pitch for the full 90 minutes. And the score ends up like what happened with Bayern Munich. Imagine it's 6-1, 7-1 on his debut. What do you think that does for his confidence? Which one of those is worse? Subbing him off after 3 goals, where you can write it off to 15 mad minutes, a terrible time, nerves at the start of his debut, away from home, a difficult European match, we go again. Okay, it's terrible, but you can write it off. And because he got substituted early, he gets a lot of sympathy from the fans. He gets a lot of, people going, Jesus, that's harsh. Jesus, that's mean. You feel for him. Rather than you leave him on for 90 minutes, he concedes 5 or 6 or 7 goals, and by the end of that, he never ever wants to go on a football pitch ever again. Because it's not just 15 minutes of madness, beginner nerves, you write it off and you go again. It's 90 minutes of absolute horror. And I think it was a mercy to take him off. As I said, I don't know if that's what Tudor meant, and given that he completely ignored him after he came off the pitch and went down the tunnel, it may not have been intentional. But I think it was the right thing to do for the team and for the player. The other thing is, I've seen a video, and I'm going to put the link to this video. Actually, let me do this right now so you can actually have a look. I can't play it because it's match footage, and what happens is if I play it and it's match footage, they will copyright the video. But let me go here. You see, just before the keeper is subbed off, okay? Romero walks to the sideline. He has a conversation with Igor Tudor. At the end of the conversation, Igor Tudor turns to the bench and does this motion. Romero then goes over to the keeper and the keeper is substituted off. So Romero advises Igor Tudor to take him off the pitch. And obviously, while Tudor could have said no, he has taken on information from his captain. Now, I can't see the bit of the footage from before that, so I don't know if Kinski said it to Romero to say it to Tudor. The man might have asked to be taken off. I don't know. I'm going to look into it more, but obviously I haven't had time. The match ended and I went live. But Romero certainly told Igor Tudor to substitute him off. And directly after that, he substituted off. Now you see, so after the first goal, you could see Danso trying to comfort him. As he's going off, you see Pedro Porro and Romero comforting him. You see Vicario giving him a hug as he comes off the pitch. Tudor blanks him. So everybody else greets him, pats him on the back, tries to make him feel better. Igor Tudor absolutely blanks him, which I thought was horrific. However, later in the match, it was pointed out by one of the commentators, which I thought was very interesting, and thank God for the commentator paying attention, because to be fair, it wasn't actually shown on camera, so only for the commentator, we wouldn't know this. Well, I wouldn't know this, therefore you wouldn't know this. But let me see, where was it? Jed Spence. Jed Spence was subbed off near the end of the match. So right near the end of the match, there's an attack and substitution made. So Spence comes off and Simmons goes on. Spence, when he comes off, goes up to the bench and takes his seat. He then immediately gets up off his seat, walks down to Tudor, taps Tudor on the back, shakes his hand, and then goes back up to his seat. So by the sounds of it, it's not just Kinski that Tudor didn't greet when he came off the pitch. It wasn't personal to him. He didn't greet any of his players coming off the pitch. And apparently, it annoyed Jed Spence so much that he decided he was going to go and prove a point and be like, hello, you're welcome, shake my hand, thank you for acknowledging me. And I'm so mad that the cameras didn't show this, because this is the kind of behaviour I endorse. I would do that. Do you know when you hold a door open for somebody and they don't even bother to acknowledge you or smile or say thank you or just even realise that you've done something nice for them? I'm the person that's like, you're welcome. I did a nice thing, you're welcome. So I wish the camera had actually shown Jed Spence going up and tapping Igor Tudor to be like, shake my hand, you're welcome. Because as I said, that is the kind of behaviour I endorse. But it also does make me think, okay, it wasn't that Igor Tudor ignored Kinsey coming off the pitch, he ignored everybody. So I don't know if you can read too much into it in terms of the keeper. I thought it was very interesting, the footage showing Romero telling Igor Tudor to take Kinsey off the pitch. And what I'm going to do, literally while I'm saying this right now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add this into the video description so that when the stream is over, you guys will be able to go Igor Tudor and to take. Or do you know what I can do? Kinsey off the pitch. There you go. I'll put it in the live chat. Literally while I'm saying this right now, let me know if that works. I'm going to go in, but if you guys click that, and then after the stream I will also put it in the live chat description, so that when the stream is over, as well, so anybody who's not watching it live or is watching the reaction, the catch up tomorrow, they will also be able to go and have a look at it. Because as I said, I can't play it because it's match footage, but it's very, very, very interesting because Tudor's gotten a lot of heat for this substitution when actually so that when the stream me twice, well. So yeah, there you go. Is that better, I notes? It's bad enough hearing me once. You don't want to hear me twice. You definitely don't want an echo. It's because I'm after opening I've opened the window to put the link in the chat for you. So obviously when I opened the window, the sound started. But is the echo gone now? I've muted myself. Is it still echoing? Okay. Perfect. Okay. I was like, I'm going to pause just in case, but no, that's what happened. I opened the window to put the link in the chat, and then obviously the window started me talking, which is good because it means my sound is working. When I try to play videos for you, these are going to hear it. The bad news is obviously that you shouldn't hear it. But I'm glad we got that sorted. But again, it's a really interesting video to watch, and sometimes it's the things that you don't see, that you don't realise. Another thing that I did think was really, really interesting, it's not just the fans that are empathising with this. David De Gea, obviously, absolutely world-class, sensational goalkeeper who was unbelievable for Manchester United. He put up a status during this match on his X, and his status read, "No one who hasn't been a goalkeeper can understand how difficult it is to play in this position. Keep your head up and you will go again." And I just thought David De Gea had such a torrid time when he started at Manchester United. A lot of the fans had written him off. He wasn't going to be the guy, and he really turned it around because of how good he became. Some people forget how bad he was when he got to us initially. He wasn't good, and he was very young, and then he became arguably the number one goalkeeper in the world for a period, certainly in the top. Do you know what I mean? He was fantastic. And so I just think, you can see just on a human level, forget the football and the banter, you can see just on a real human level how difficult that can be and how some of the other players actually were relating to him past and present. But the referee, so look, Spurs were terrible, absolutely terrible. Atletico Madrid were all over them. The keeper had a mare. However, it wasn't just the keeper that had a mare. Mickey van de Ven. Oh my God, what is wrong? What is wrong with the players at Spurs? Okay, so yes, Igor Tudor, questionable. His man management is clearly unique. Okay, keeper, terrible. Had a bad game. And then when Vicario come on, equally terrible. It was like when United had Onana and Bayindir as our options. I just was like, please play Tom Heaton because he couldn't be any worse. You could stick these two together and Tom Heaton to be better. So I understand it's difficult when neither of your keepers are sensational, but I mean, there was so many other problems. Mickey van de Ven put in a challenge that he should have received a red card for. He should have been off. So let me... My chat, I love you guys. Honestly, I love you guys. You make me laugh so very, very much, right? I'm doing a serious talk about Mickey van de Ven, right? All the problems at Spurs, and I look at the chat, I glance at the chat, and what I see is Dave Boy. Where are all the Gooners tonight? Has their mums put them to bed early? Flossie. Probably in the Spurs streams trolling Dave. And I have to say, the best bit is because it's so accurate. Love you guys. And then we have Luke. Luke coming in with the confirmation of the theory. So we have the question, we have the theory, and then we have the proving of the theory. Luke comes in with, I'm watching a Spurs stream on my other account. Well, I'll tell you what, Luke, you watch what you like on your other account. Once they're both subscribed to Spill the Tea, Lou, I don't care what you do with them. But Mickey van de Ven, right, as we know, got a red card recently for Spurs. This is the first match he has played in since that red card, okay? And this is what he decides to do. Let me show you. So as you can see, he has gone in, studs up at the ankle. Now, this isn't even the worst of it. This is the bit I could find, right? But right after this, he takes this second foot also off the ground, and both feet end up straight in front of him. He is completely off the ground with his studs up. He takes out the Atletico Madrid player like I just took out my mic. I don't know if everybody does this. I really talk with my hands. You can't always see them because where the camera is, but see just under the camera, my hands be like this all the time when I'm talking. That's why it looks like I'm dancing on the seat. It's not. It's because I'm doing this with my hands. But the mic, I knock it over all the time. All the time. So if the sound ever goes funky, it's probably because I've hit the mic. However, back to Van de Ven. He ends up with both feet off the ground, studs up into the Atletico Madrid player, and absolutely bowls him out of it. That should be a red. That's dangerous. And he was very much out of control. Absolute insanity from Van de Ven. Absolute insanity. From the man who only just got a red card. So he clearly didn't learn a bloody thing. He broke Isak's leg. Didn't learn anything from that either. So we talk about Romero being a loose cannon. We talk about Romero being a bit crazy. We talk about the Chelsea players being ill-disciplined. Mickey van de Ven, oh my God, you have already broken one man's leg this season. Can you catch a grip of yourself, please? Your team is in doggy doo-doo, okay? Big doggy doo-doo. And you decide, I know, let me get another red card in a different competition. He's very, very lucky because no harm, the referee was handing out cards to the Spurs players like absolute confetti. So how he got away with this, I will never know. Everybody else was getting carded except him. And Paddy Power, you know I love the Paddy Power account. I love the funny funnies, because I'm a child. The Paddy Power account, right after it happened, was like, fair play to Mickey van de Ven. The ideal way to help your team out of this situation is to fly in, studs up on an opponent. Now, I just thought, while it's funny, it's very funny, it also is a very good summation of how stupid of a thing to do it was. And I have to say, if I'm a Spurs fan, I'm raging with this bucko. He needs to rein it in. Somebody needs to ring his mum and be like, put him in a timeout. Put him in the naughty corner. I don't know. Don't let him have sugar for a few weeks. But really and truly, he needs to catch a grip of himself. And if Igor Tudor is as cold as he makes out he is, I do think he needs to get a hold of the leaders instead of picking on Kinski. Now again, he seems to not be talking to anyone, so I don't know if he is picking on Kinski, but you know what I mean. Perception and all the rest of it. I just think, it's gone from bad to worse for Spurs. And while Spurs fans might not be relieved, obviously nobody's ever going to be relieved when their team does something like this, but Spurs fans may be thinking, do you know what? We need to focus on not being relegated. It's probably not the end of the world that we, if we go out of the Champions League, we probably really only need to focus on one competition. We can't manage two. We might as well just go out. We're not going to win it. We might as well just go out and focus on not being relegated. This is more of an inconvenience. So I can understand that. But you don't want to lose like this. And you don't want your players doing what I thought. Actually, Jed Spence, I thought, God bless him. He really tried. Like, was it the 5th goal? Was it the 5th goal or the 6th goal? I can't remember. Well, it had to be the 5th goal because the 6th goal was in the Bayern Munich game. So for the 5th goal, it comes from like a Spurs attack. Like, it's just, and like Romero's running after the Atletico Madrid player and then just sort of stops. He's chasing him down the pitch, and then he just, right before he's about to shoot, he stops chasing him. He just sort of stands off to let him get a shot off. Jed Spence, bless him, he just keeps running. He's trying, but he can't get to him on time. But at least he kept running. Whereas Romero just sort of chased him, and then stopped. I was like, what are you stopping now for? Although, to be fair, he was probably afraid he was going to give away a penalty, which, given his track record at the minute, he might have. But I mean, it did get to a point, and I'm going, yeah, so like, it was the Oblak save, and then the counter, which is, and then the chasing that I keep demonstrating, and I don't know why. Looks like I'm shaking maracas. But there was 12 seconds between the Oblak save and the goal going in the back of the net for Atletico Madrid. 12 seconds. Richarlison really should have scored. Oblak saves it, and 12 seconds later, Atletico Madrid get their 5th goal. That's insane. That is completely insane. Now, lovely Billy is in the chat. Thank you for joining us, my friend. I notes with the big fib is saying, Chelsea are well behaved lads. We just don't get the rub off the green. To be fair, you have so many cards this season, so many red cards this season. But I've seen other teams with just as little discipline as you guys, so I do think that might be somewhat true. I don't think you're the worst behaved team in the league, even though on cards you are. I've watched quite a lot of your games. I've watched quite a lot of Spurs now at this point, and I would say Spurs are definitely less well behaved than you lot. But they've got enough problems. They're going to be relegated. You can't give them like worst behaved as well. That'd be a bit mean. Kick a puppy when they're down. Dave Boy says, the only decent Spurs player I would take at United is Archie Gray. The rest are injury prone or crap. I mean, that's fair. Archie Gray, bless him, is a young up and comer. He got a yellow tonight as well. I mean, I have to talk about the referee. I keep distracting myself. I'm going to talk about the referee. Wouldn't be like me. Billy says, the tie is not over yet. Without mistakes, that's a draw. And that's a great point from Billy. A fantastic point from Billy. Without 3 individual mistakes at the start of that match. So the slip, and the pass to the Atletico Madrid player, actually, it could have ended 2-2. Do you know what I mean? So it was terrible, but Spurs were home in the next round, and 5-2 is a lot better than the way it was for a long time. It's like 3-0. Do you know what I mean? 5 sounds massive, but it's 5-2, which is like 3-0, which would be difficult, but not impossible. Not totally impossible. But I mean, the thing is, Spurs not making any mistakes seems impossible at the minute. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is impossible. I've talked myself round. I'm so glad we had that conversation, me, myself and I. And we got to do it live for everybody. This is why I shouldn't do late night streams. The Delulu has well and truly kicked in. When I come home after work and I do the streams, I'm still semi-human. It's like 5 to 11 at night. I'm not even a human anymore. I'm saying all the things that are coming into my brain, even the ones that don't make sense. But the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that while, yes, Van de Ven very possibly should have received a red card, The referee did not give a single card to a single Atletico Madrid player. Not one. No yellow cards, no any cards to any Atletico Madrid player, okay? Spurs players between them received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 yellow cards to Spurs, 0 to Atletico Madrid. There was one point an Atletico Madrid player nearly ripped the jersey clean off one of the Spurs players, and I'm desperately searching my notes to see if I wrote down who it was. So bear with me. So it was the number 18, whoever number 18 is for Atletico Madrid, Spence again. He nearly pulled, and I'm not joking, I thought the neck of the jersey was going to rip. He nearly ripped it clean off him. Nothing. No yellow. Not at all. At the end of the match, and I know Romero can be a loose cannon, but in this case it actually wasn't his fault. Number 20 for Atletico Madrid looks behind him, he sort of glances behind himself, sees Romero coming, the ball's coming, he jumps backwards into Romero. Romero gets a yellow card. Your man's after jumping into him. Yellow card for Romero. He didn't even do anything. I mean, it's not like him, but in this case, he actually didn't do anything. There was multiple times Atletico Madrid players definitely should have gotten a yellow card. Definitely. And didn't. But 5 were given to Spurs. So I think overall, between all of the incidents, I thought the referee, and we talk about the referees in England all the time, and they're brutal, but I have to say, the referee tonight, who was Serdar Gazaboyuk, horrendous. He was terrible. So, you know yourself, he'd be the first one recruited if they start taking in referees from Europe, because he was brutal. But the last thing I want to talk about, right at the very end, Palhinha and Romero managed to headbutt each other. So just to round off, just a terrible match. Just mistakes from both keepers, terrible from the referee, goals all over the place. Like, just a mental match. Very entertaining as a neutral, very entertaining, loved it, but mental. Palhinha and Romero, they clearly banged their heads very hard. They really, really hurt each other, okay? Palhinha gets the worst of it and is clearly concussed. And still, they had to have a full discussion about whether he was going to be substituted for concussion. He couldn't stand up. He didn't know where he was. I'd be surprised if he knew his own name. He was visibly concussed. If you've ever seen somebody who's concussed, he was visibly concussed. I could see it through the TV. So how the two men, medically trained, stand beside him, weren't 100% sure, I will never know. But eventually, after minutes, they came to the decision that they were going to concussion sub him off because he literally couldn't walk in a straight line and was very concussed. But they decide the other person who his head banged off, Romero, should stay on the pitch because they hit their head off each other hard enough that one of them is concussed, but the other one, nah, he's fine, totally fine. So they left Romero on the pitch. Only for a minute later, he goes down on his hunkers, clearly not okay, holding his head, obviously also concussed. Now, thankfully, the referee just blew it up. He brought an end to the madness. The best thing he did all match was he blew the whistle at this point. He was like, this is ridiculous. He just blows the whistle. The match is over. But we need to talk about this. At some point, the medical experts must be allowed to overrule both the player and the manager. If it is a danger to the player to continue, which a head injury can be, and the player is very clearly concussed, that's it. It should just be obligatory. You don't have a choice. You have to just take them off. It's mental. And I just have to think, thank God it was at the end of the match, because honestly, it could be so dangerous for players. And I think the problem is this stupid 30-second rule as well, where if you receive any treatment, you have to be off the pitch for 30 seconds. So technically, Spurs ended the match with 9 men because 2 of their players were injured and had this 30-second treatment rule. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But look, it was a mental match. We had some very interesting goals. We had some very interesting results. We had a lot to report on. Tomorrow, hopefully, is going to be equally as good. So tomorrow, we have Leverkusen and Arsenal, Bodo and Sporting, PSG and Chelsea. PSG, who have been given time off away from their matches in Ligue 1. It is Ligue 1 in France, isn't it? And to face the mighty Chelsea. And of course, Real Madrid, Manchester City. So, if you guys enjoyed this, if, people liked it, I'm going to do another one of these late night streams tomorrow evening because Arsenal and Leverkusen kick off at 5:45, and then you have the 3 matches at 8 o'clock, exact same format as today. And obviously, we don't want to miss any of the football. I don't want to miss any of the football. You don't want to miss any of the football, being nice and listening to me. So I think if we do it again, same time, same place, tomorrow night, 10 p.m, and hopefully we're going to have a lot more fun to talk about. I am very, very excited. And we're going to finish it off with iNotes is saying JP20 fire, fire, fire. So iNotes is predicting we're going to have a lot of goals to talk about. Thank you so much for joining me, folks. Please, if you're watching on the replay, if you're not watching live, you're watching on the replay, get your comments into the comment section. Have a good old natter amongst yourselves. If you agree, disagree, I don't mind. Once you're respectful about it, pop it into the comments. Have a chat with each other. I know our guests and Nathan had a great old chat about Real Madrid on the last match in the comments, so you never know what's going in there. But get your comments, get your likes, get back here tomorrow 10 o'clock, and let's enjoy another fantastic evening of football together. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.